Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Come all the way to St. Louis, and then you're cooped up in your hotel there, Panozo.
I know. We come all the way to St. Louis, see each other, have dinner, and then go separate ways to our separate rooms to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to do something out in the hallway a little later on this afternoon for a little like matinee show, but we'll see how. I mean, it should be all right because I've been on hotel Wi-Fi this whole time, so in principle it should work. Although things generally never do go to plan. How's your
reality? Is two different things.
Yeah. How's your first, or what's your first? What was your first like take and experience like for the venue and being out here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the venue, they did a nice job with the space. It's a decent sized ballroom. Tables are spread out nice. Not a lot of decorative, add-ons, which is fine. Me, I've still got issues with not knowing what the scoring is on certain tables. There is one big scoreboard screen in the room, but that's, a ways away, or you can follow it on your phone. And I'm old school. I like scoreboards in my stadiums. But that aside, it's run really well. My other main issue with it, and we've talked about this even on the show, has been that the World 8-Ball Championship is the marquee event, and they're playing at 9:00 in the morning in front of you and me if we're up.
Yeah.
So, that's a head scratcher to me, but the event's great. The competition, obviously the fields are incredible. I mean, we all saw the kind of the Fargo list of tournaments, and this is at the top of the list as far as the depth of the field from a Fargo standpoint. So, and it's, and a lot of upsets, a lot of surprises, a lot of great action, a lot of hill matches. The women are playing the 10-ball best of 3 sets, race to 4, and there have been a lot of shootouts in that. So, and the teams is the same way. So it's been, a lot of exciting matches, and the crowds have been really good. I expected them to be a little bit slower today as you get into the work week.
Sure.
They were great over the weekend. And
I was surprised yesterday, Mike, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for being Easter and everything. And then I think, in the evenings, hopefully they'll get some people in here, especially if guys like, Skylar and Justin and people like that are still playing. They'll get some local flavor.
Well, it's either or, because I don't know if you saw or not, which we'll get into in just a minute, but the Sky was undefeated so far after defeating Carlo on the winner's side, which was a strong match. And then, of course, he was already through. Dramatic match this morning with Justin, and then, of course, they draw each other in the final 32. But we'll dive into that here in a moment. Yeah, no, I'm with you when it comes to the scoreboard. And it's funny because we were talking about this yesterday on the way to dinner, and I was kind of like, but you can see it on your phone. And then I think you gave me the best like mic drop you can give me. And you were like, okay, so don't have a scoreboard at the baseball game or at the football game, and I was like, okay, well, when you put it like that, it's kind of hard to argue, right? Because I couldn't imagine a world in which you didn't have that.
And here's the addition to that. Okay. If I can watch it free on Pro Billiard TV, which is great that PBS does this all free. And, I've got a better chance of keeping up with the matches there than being here live.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know for sure.
The score's right in front of me on TV. I can watch it in my home, and I'm not paying $40 a day to park at the hotel. So, there's
just tossing that one on in there too while you're at it, buddy.
I mean, they realize that. I mean, I was talking to Vincent about that. He was mentioning a little bit earlier. Something that they wanted, certainly, they come back here, they want to talk to the hotel about is, they're inviting people to come down here. There's no entry to get in. You don't have to buy a ticket. You can just come here and watch, but you got to pay $40 to park at the hotel.
It's hefty. It's Vegas. It's like Vegas stuff right there.
Yeah. And there's other parking options within walking distance of here that are going to be cheaper. But the long and short of it is that you're trying to reduce those barriers to people being here to as much as you can. And I think, the live experience needs to be enhanced to make that attractive. And to me, part of the live experience is I want to walk up to a table and know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's too much to ask there for sure. And I think like while I can understand the convenience of being able to check it, and surely like everyone's doing it. I mean, I'm sitting down there, even when I'm not sweating on TV table,
Yeah.
if I'm
That-
looking over the
yeah.
who's watching, they got the website on up, which is convenient in its
Yeah.
own right. But you want to be able to like
It's
just
funky.
peer over and
Yeah.
look, and
Right.
so and it's funny because even so yesterday I was sweating. I think it was Carlo and Rubelin versus it was the one before they played Justin, and I can't remember who it was, but I think maybe it was Sky and Brittany. And so and I was watching like I was sitting down there for at least a good 45 minutes, and even then I was like, well, what's the score? What set are we in?
Yeah,
And
especially
so
yeah, especially when you get into the sets. Then it's
yeah,
really hard to scoreboard watch from the side because you don't know what set they're in or what the game score is. And that's what keeps you on the edge of your seat, right? Is
sure.
with that whole format is the short races and the importance of every game, whatever. So I want to know if what I'm watching is exciting or not.
Yeah, certainly some opportunity there, and we're gonna get Vincent on the mic a little bit later on to kind of get his
Not
take on it, and
I'm in the
I got
hot
a
seat.
yeah, I got a few questions for him as well. But all in all, Mike, I mean, listen, like I said, when I came out yesterday morning, maybe around this time downstairs, and I was checking out a match, my first thought was, "Holy shit, there's a lot of people here on Easter,"
Yeah,
and I was really surprised, and I know Justin was playing at that time. But I was shocked to see the amount of pool fans that were here at the venue, and it died down a little bit once his match was over with, but then it picked
yeah,
back up again, in the later afternoon. But all in all, like foot traffic wise, and it was a bit of a concern for me coming over here, it not being attached to the league side of things was what's how many people are actually going to make it out here,
yeah,
and it's been standing room only for TV table. It's been thick outside of TV table for some of the matches as
right.
as well, especially the more popular players and things like that. But um, I think from what I've been hearing is that they've committed to at least a couple of years out here in St. Louis. So I think that's a big plus. And I hope they do come back because you can see a lot of the potential. A lot of the fans are eager for more pull stuff. I've been hearing guys
Yeah,
say, "Hey, I want vendors here. I want to be able to buy a queue here," because and I saw this one guy who he was coming out. I saw him at least the first 4 or 5 days maybe, and he was driving 2 hours each way every day to come out
wow.
here. Like, if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. But one of the things he was telling me was, because we're talking about the giveaway that I'm doing for Seabirds, and he was like, "Yeah, but if I don't win that jump queue, I wanna be able to buy it here,
Yeah,
And I'm like, and you can tell that they have the real estate for it. They have the room to
yeah,
accommodate vendors. Maybe they can even throw out some tables for fans to hit balls on as well, and kind of get part of that experience. Because all these people are pool players in their own right, And so, just these little bells and whistles that I think would improve the overall experience. But all
yeah,
in all, when it comes to like the action side of things, the streaming side of things, the social media content from the team out here,
yeah. Great.
it's been solid, Mike. Uh, like last night, so we get back from dinner, which by the way I posted on Windows Open. You guys can check it out. What Uncle Mike paid up for. I didn't show the bill, but I did. I did show the
Oh,
dinner, and
you showed me reading the menu with my flashlight. That was cold enough,
that was the only. I tried to say cheese. I don't know if you heard me or not. It might be the hearing might be getting away from you there, buddy. But
brother.
uh, Uncle Mike did not disappoint as always. Always top shelf in class when it comes to any kind of restaurant experience. And so we got to enjoy that, and it was cool and great Italian food as always. But we come back over here, Mike, and I was sweating doubles on the
Yeah,
scoreboard as we were out having dinner. I come back here. We both came back here, and Rubelin and Carlo were playing Justin and Xiaofang Fu.
yeah.
And tell me about that match. I know you got to check it out just a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was well. I mean, they blazed through the first set, Rublin and Carlo, and give credit to Fu and Bergman for, really turning it around and playing really much better in the second set. Then the third set, they were up 3-1. I mean, they're supposed to end this, right?
Yeah.
Bergman and Fu, and up 3-1 at the table, running out, get to the 7 or the 8. I think there were 3.
It was a 7. It was a 7. Yeah.
The 8 was already off the table, so it was just 7, 9, and 10 left. And Fu missed a shot that she doesn't miss, too many times in a year. And that allowed Beato and Rubelin to fight back, which didn't surprise me at all, and tie the match at 3-3 and send it to a shootout. What did surprise me was watching Carlo, really miss bad on his first shot, and Rubelin missing on her second shot. Or her first shot, I think. So it was a great match, and the crowd was buzzing for that.
Crowd was buzzing, Mike. It's funny because this tournament gets thrown out a lot, especially in the pool world, when like you're reaching to build a fight. But it was cinema last night, is what it was.
And the cool thing is, you've got Xiaoping Fu, who doesn't speak a word of it, and talked to Justin. He said she knows 2 words: lucky, 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 and no lucky, no lucky, no lucky.
Yeah.
So that's the extent of her English. And but she's been having so much fun because the crowd has embraced her. By virtue.
Oh yeah, she's been the adopted St. Louis child here now.
Yeah, she's getting high-fived and she's getting pictures taken, and you can just see by the look on her face, this is not what she was expecting on her trip to the U.S. because people here really don't know her, and she hasn't played here very often, and all of a sudden she's got celebrity status and she's eating it up. So they're having a lot of fun together, given the fact that their communication is basically run out.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's a very well decorated player in her own right. Maybe not known to the on this side of the world, as especially compared to like name players, Mike. But like she's got titles to her own credit. But this is a different animal, and it's a different animal in the sense of the energy and the crowd and the atmosphere and all these things, and it comes with, of course, being Justin's partner here in St. Louis. But it's funny because I was down there for a little bit, then I came back up to the room, and then when I saw the score line pick back up, I said I got to go down and check out the end of this match. So I went back downstairs for the last set. I think I showed up at around 3-1 maybe, and so when she got down on that first 7 ball that she ended up missing, they had already done the hard work, and Justin got her prime on that 7 ball. Yeah, I mean Justin, and there was a couple of, she had this great mix. It was great from a fan standpoint. But she had this great mix of coming with incredibly clutch shots, and I mean like tough clutch shots, and then missing or getting out of position on a couple of balls where you were like, oh man, here we go, and it's
tough a few times.
Yeah, but they recovered, and the thing about Carlo and Rubelin is that, like a Josh Filler type player, like a Shane, when you give them a window, they kick down the door and they make themselves at home, and it becomes their place. And it didn't happen yesterday. And when Fu missed that 7 ball, I thought, well, that's a wrap. I thought it was a wrap for 1, obviously that game, which is the obvious. 2, I thought it was a wrap for that set. Well, even though worst case, they could only get to a shootout at that point. But even then, I really liked their chances. And going into it, I liked the Filipinos. When they missed a 7 ball, I liked the Filipinos. In the shootout, I liked the Filipinos. But the story just couldn't be denied, and it was one of the coolest things. And what I want to get to here is talking about all those things you mentioned, Mike. Was the moment got to her, because when she missed the 7 ball, when players do this, it's one of 2 things. One, it's saying my bad, right? But this wasn't one of those my bad moments. It was the heartbeat. It was the heartbeat was too fast type taps, and you can tell, and you saw the kind of heartbreak on her face. And there's never it's rare when you're in a room and people aren't cheering for Filipinos because they're always fan favorites no matter where they go. But in St. Louis, they were cheering for, they were rooting
Yeah.
for Bergman and Fu. Surprised they got another opportunity. Justin overran position, I think, on a 9 to a 10. Missed it at 3-2. They had another chance to close it out. Missed that one. And Fu went for a really thin cut shot. And I was glad she took it on, even though she ended up missing it. The Filipinos tied it up at 3-3. And I thought, like I said, Mike, I thought it was a wrap in the shootout as well. I really liked, and listen, for nothing else, Mike, the experience factor alone in the shootout is a real deal thing. Filipinos got experience. That team in Fu and Bergman do not, but they ended up coming out with the better of it. Talk to me about that shootout, though, for a minute.
Well, I mean, Justin drilled both of his shots, and she stepped up and drilled hers, so they were like spot on. The unusual thing was seeing Carlo and Rubelin, miss badly. So yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you. I thought once it got to the shoot, I mean, Rubelin, these are two people who just got done winning a world championship in the shootout. Although Rubelin didn't shoot in that one, but they know how to close the door when it comes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, we were all surprised by that. As far as her miss, where she touched her heart, Justin even said, she's being too hard on herself when she misses a rover runs position, and he can't really talk her down from that because there's a language barrier. And it's not surprising to me because I think you see in a lot of these doubles situations where one player looks up to the other player as being the better player who's not making the mistakes, and they put more pressure on themselves to try to keep up with their partner and not let their partner down. That's the whole nature of team play and doubles play and things like that. I mean, she's a monster player, and so she should not be, second guessing herself or putting more pressure on herself because her partner is a great player. It's easier said than done, but you could kind of see that being the case.
Yeah, I mean, I thought to that point, the language barrier was a +1 for them in the sense of, and not only that, but Justin, the way Justin is, he's kind of like a just do your thing kind of guy. And I remember one particular shot where it was one of the two that stood out to me, but it was one of them where she had an option of playing safe, or really she had like no room for error to make this ball cut it all the way down the table. And Justin looked at it. Justin was going back to his seat. She looks back at him like almost looking for advice. And Justin just says, you do whatever you want to do. You do whatever you feel comfortable in doing, and she did, and she ginned it. And it was hairy whether or not that ball was going to go in because it had one ball to fade to get in the hole. But I think that was a major +1. And I've seen combination of players that are much more decorated individually, that the overcoaching, overanalyzing gets in their own head, Mike, or gets in their way of at least what you think could be their potential, right? At least on paper anyway. And so maybe that was a blessing for them in disguise. When I saw them on the doubles going into it, I thought, this has a lot of potential, but it's hard to live up to pre-fight potential with so many killers in the room as well, Mike. You know what I mean? And so many traps and all these things like that. But yeah, and I seen in other matches. I saw it with Wojciech and Yuki. I seen it with the Oceans, where they kind of, you can tell the familiarity, I think, can be a negative because they know the verbals or even the nonverbals as well, because the nonverbals can be sometimes even louder than things that the partners are saying to one another. The body language, the roll the eyes, maybe you can feel it. You know what I mean? And so, but I thought it was really cool that at the end of the match, which the way Justin hits the spot shots like scares me to death, because it's not like a gunning running around like a Carlo type with the cue ball, but it's not a roll either. It's kind of like a little medium ish, and you don't see that a whole lot with top players doing spot shots. I was surprised that Carlo missed. It immediately put pressure on him once Justin made the first one. And the way that Fu closed out that match, both with clutch shots and tough positional shots and misses, I didn't know what to expect, Mike. Honestly, I didn't know what I was going to get from her, but I liked the Filipinos in there they came
Yeah.
away with the victory, did Justin and Fu, and it was the coolest thing seeing her high five. She didn't even wait for Justin. She went, she was giving the sister, the aunt, the dad, she was giving the whole family the high five, and that to me was the coolest thing.
She's having fun. It's carried over. I mean, she's in the singles women's open. She just got done taking Kelly out.
Oh, did she? Okay, yeah. Sweet. There you go.
That's pretty handily. So she's feeling pretty good about her game right now, I would think.
I was looking through here earlier, and I meant to highlight it. I'm trying to see if I can bring it back up.
The thing about someone asking me if I was drinking a Cosmo, because
it was
that. Uncle Mike doesn't drink Cosmos.
He said
guy. Uncle Mike was drinking a Negroni.
He's setting the record straight. No, look, this is the one I want to do. How do we retire the shootout entirely? Mike, what after having it for a while and seeing a couple world championships decided by it, where are you sitting at on that discussion?
Listen, I don't know that I'm a huge fan of it, but I get it. I get why they do it. I get why they, have done it, put it into these things, and I'm getting used to it. I think the players are kind of getting used to it. And I wouldn't want to see all pool pro events be shootout. I wouldn't want to see them all be sets, but I've said a million times, I like different formats. I like that Predator says, okay, we do 10 ball, we do sets, we do a shootout. Okay, Matchroom says we do 9 ball, we do long races. That's great. I like the difference. I like that there's two completely disparate ways of playing out these tournaments, because I don't want everything to be the same old thing where it's just rinse and repeat for every tournament that's out there. So I don't mind it. The players seem to be okay with it. The fans love it. Obviously, the short sets keeps everybody on the edge of their seat. The shootouts are really dramatic. It is what it is. Just deal with it and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm team shootout for sure, and only because of what I've seen it grow into from having been at venues and been at different tournaments across the world, Mike. And so from its infancy to seeing where it's settled at today, you kind of get this like old school pushback from guys, and I get it from fans to some degree, but like everybody from the younger players or even the people maybe in my age range all seem to have fully embraced it, and it does bring a different level of on the edge of your seat type atmosphere that I don't remember ever getting in pool. And even when I remember one of the best matches I've ever seen in person was Shane versus Dennis, and Shane was up like 22 games or whatever it was, and Dennis comes all the way back. But it wasn't exciting until the end. It wasn't exciting until he gets down to like 5 games after all that. There was a lot of times in longer races where it gets really boring. And I'm not just saying that about race to 120, but there's lulls in there where I'm not on the edge of my seat. And furthermore, I'm getting bored out of my mind. And this is coming from like an avid pool fan, and so, but seeing how, like I said, the fans tune into it, the fans show up with, whether it's in the arena, whether it's online, all these things, because you can even see boosted numbers as the matches, as the matches tightened up from the viewership online as well, Mike. But personally, I dig it just because it's drama, and not for nothing, but we've already seen what these traditional races to 11, 9, and 13 have done for growth and viewership. It hasn't worked, so trying to do the same thing, I think is a little bit silly. And so for that reason alone, I can appreciate just trying something different and
mix it up.
Yeah. And listen, I love chaos in sports. Like I said, I love the Filipinos going into that matchup, and they did not come away with the victory, surprisingly, but it did not take away from what I felt. There was a buzz leaving that room. Like I get watching sports, like I get watching, UConn drill a 3 where, it's just like, damn, did you see that? Like I felt like that, Mike, whenever I was watching the end of it. But talk to me about Bergman as a whole, because it's tough to live up to the bill playing in your hometown. There was a lot of buzz going into it. He was on the flyer, gets into the semifinals of the bank, semifinals now of the doubles. Talk to me about his performance so far, Mike.
I think that it's been clutch.
That's a good word, yeah.
I don't think he'd say that he's played his best game here. You know, so he's had his misses, his hiccups, whatever, but he's played solid enough to win. I mean, and you look, Dwang, Filler, and Shevchuk, all hill. Beat all
Mike,
three.
that's 2 world champions and one of the best Asian players on the tour in that lineup right now, Mike.
So, you know, he's doing just fine. So it's just it's exciting to see him back in and playing at this level. Exciting to see that it's brought people into the arena and added more excitement to matches in there. He's getting really comfortable on table one because he hasn't been off that table since he got in single.
Rightfully so, in my opinion.
God, he's like got his own, like, you know, he's got his own like sleeping quarters over there. No, he's played really well, and he just looks, you know, more animated, more entertaining, more into it than I remember seeing him back in the late teens. Right? He just seems like a different person, you know, embracing this and really having fun with it, and which is great to see because he's a cool dude. So yeah, it's been fun to watch. You know, now he's got, you know, you mentioned he's got Sky. The match against Shevchuk, didn't think he was getting out of that match.
I didn't think he was getting out of that match going into that match, to be honest with you.
7-5, and Wojciech was 3 balls from being out and had to muscle the ball into the side pocket and rattled it. And then next thing you know, it's 7-7. Got to the table twice in the last game because Justin scratched on the break. So he had ball in hand to start. It was a weird layout. The 8 ball was kind of
that eight ball, yeah.
Yeah, and there were a couple of different options for going after the 8 ball, and he took one option that didn't work out for him. Ended up kicking at it, and Justin's, you know, back at the table, and you know, I saw Wojciech after that sitting out in the hallway by himself.
He looked heartbroken, Mike.
He was so disappointed and disgusted with himself. I haven't seen him that down after a match ever, which is a shame because he's such a good player and he's such a great guy. But you know, Justin, it was a great comeback and a great win. Stay alive, get into the final 32. Now these get extended to race to 10, which is makes things a little more equitable if you're doing winter breaks. I mean, winter break 8 ball and a big table race to 8, a little bit short. I mean, I watched earlier today. You know, here's my problem with the way they've handled it with the race to 8 winter breaks so far. I saw Beato against Vitaly Petsura this morning, playing for a spot in the final 32, money on the line. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and at the end of the match, Vitaly had never gotten out of his chair. Carlo ran 8 and out from the break, done. And I walked up and I said, dude, you could have come down here in your pajamas and left your cue in your room and nothing would have changed. And that to me is not fair. That's where you see the unfairness of it, is like, okay, these guys, you're not giving them enough money to make them travel all the way here, pay a pretty expensive hotel rate, you know, all that stuff, entry fee, things like that, be here for 10 days. And then you're going to play race to 8 winter breaks and have a guy sit in his chair and never get out of his chair other than to lag. And he was playing for his life. That's a cold roll.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how you go from announcing that it's a race to 10 now to making a whole political statement on the other side.
Yeah, look, I get everything you're saying, and it all makes sense when it comes to that. But damn, Mike, I love great things in sports, man. You know, like it's hard to not. I love the winter break because then we never get like, that's a special thing what Carlo did. You know, that's a great moment what Carlo did. And don't get me wrong, I get it's the short end of the stick for Vitaly, but shit that happens in sports. We always mention.
It doesn't happen in sports where a guy shows up for a match and never takes his warm up off. It doesn't.
Well, but look, it's
any sport.
Look, I can argue he got to the table when he had a chance to win the lag. you know. So I mean, you could and listen. I know it's
Well,
splitting hairs.
in tennis, you go out there before the first serve, and you spin your tennis racket. Whether it comes up one side or the other determines on who serves first. I serve first. I've got a monster serve. It's winner breaks, and I run out the set, and you never do nothing but try to flail at my serves.
Well,
You think tennis would buy that?
you better time your restroom break pretty good. Then is what I would recommend. You know. Now listen, I can understand your side of the argument, but I love seeing special moments like that. For me, even though it was
Yeah.
shitty for Vitali, I
Yep.
think I think it was super cool
Both
for what Carlo did.
50,000 plus. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with let's see sample
Yeah,
space.
and by the
But
way, I've
if
seen
guys
big
are
guys,
killing
Mike.
themselves to make rent, then you didn't give them the chance.
Well, but that's a whole other that's an overall discussion when it comes to the state of the game. But I I've seen a lot of great players, and not just Carlo. I'm talking about Filler, Shane.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of guys struggle with that break, Mike. Guys who are big breakers,
Of course.
and and so it's part of the role. Pull gods giveth, and pull gods go and taketh. And sometimes you run into a bad motherfucker like Carlo who just who isn't gonna be denied, and put on something special. And we don't get like that. We don't have a perfect game in pool. We don't have and the last time I can remember something like this happening was Alex versus Kachi years ago in Arizona when he lags for the break, or maybe they flip for the break and then he runs out like 8 in a row playing 10 ball, and Kachi just sat his ass down. And sure, it's shitty in a world championship with a lot of money on the line, all these things, and you can factor in all the economical costs when it comes to the players and all these things. I get all that, every single one of them. But listen, it's brutal racking the balls. It's brutal breaking the balls. Sometimes it goes your way. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm as much as I feel bad for Vitali, I'm celebrating Carlo in that moment. And I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing thing to watch for sure. And it's a cool feat. But I didn't see all the perfect game posts and announcements and whatever after anyway. So
Well, there should have been. And the only reason why I even knew about it was because I was obviously I saw the score line, but like even when you see a score line like that, your brain can't get there because it is such a rare thing. Like it's so low percentage for that to go and happen, right? Someone's gonna get to the table, maybe they played safe, whatever. He never even got out of the damn chair,
No.
and so which again, it sucks, but it's kind of cool at the same time. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So you know what I mean?
Tell him that when you take him to lunch.
No, I'm not gonna say that. I get it, man. I get it. And I wish it wasn't like, and I wish it wasn't so hand to mouth when it comes to the finances for the pool
Yeah.
players. That's the part where
that's what makes it tougher.
where-
That's what I think.
yeah.
A lot of times the promoters lose track of the fact of how much these guys are putting into being here. Okay, and so
Yeah.
to me, you kind of owe it to them to give them, a puncher's chance at something, right? You just don't say, yeah, thanks for showing up. It's like, make it 256 player single elimination race to 3 and
Yeah.
$1,000 entry fee and you lose your first match and you're gone. You could do all sorts of weird things like that, but I mean that's an extreme. But it's just that kind of thing. It's like, okay, when we get to a certain point, you can be a little more dramatic with stuff, but we're not there yet.
I wish they would have had like a bonus for Carlo, like kind of hitting the maximum or something.
Like that. Yeah, then in other matches, Vitali would have had the same opportunity to win to 50,000 for a perfect game, something like that. It's like bowling to 300 on TV. There's a $25,000 bonus or something like that. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, 8 ball is one of the games where, or probably the only game I could think of where I might be able to get there when it comes to the alternate break, if for nothing else, because of how weighted it is. But it can still kind of keep me on the edge of my seat in terms of holding serve, because if they do find success, then I expect them to run out that rack at a very high rate. Players of their caliber, So, but Vitali exits stage left. Carlo moves on and is into the final 32. Mike, before we go over the final 32, I want to go over the doubles here for a minute and kind of
Yeah,
preview that because the semifinals is tonight, Mike, starting at 7 p.m. And I tell you what, that for me is I'm going to be watching the national championship game, but I'll probably be watching on my phone because I'll probably be there in the arena sweating that one. Talk to me about the semifinals because it's pretty solid. Let me see if I can.
Bergman and Fu against Jason Shaw and Cheska. I mean, that's pretty sporty show right there. That's going to be big ticket, and watching Cheska and Jason play together is pretty sporty. I mean, because their games are so similar, right? This is not a situation where you're going to get Jason over coaching or they both left-handers. They both have the same style. She can shoot any shot in the book. So they're just kind of like turning it loose and going. That's a hard train to stop right there.
Stylistically, it's about as great as you can think of, at least on paper, that it should that it should work out well. But it's tough to work out well, and chemistry, like I said, can be a good thing and sometimes it can be a bad thing. In this case, it's worked out and it's lived up to the bill, which has been awesome. I love that matchup coming into this event as a whole, and that Centeno and Shaw doubles pairing, Mike. I mean, I loved it just for all the reasons that you stated and then some. Dynamic players it's far and few between in the world of pool, whether on the men's side or the women's side. Those two are just on a very parallel track when it comes to how dynamic and cutthroat and fun they can be watching at the pool table. And so seeing them have success has been great. I wish, to be honest with you, this was more of a final. No disrespect to the other players on the bottom side of it, but this, I don't know how to pick this one. It seems like it's almost destiny for Fu and Bergman at this point. Once you got through the Filipino team, but then you think about Shaw and his resume and Cheska and how cold-blooded that she is as an individual player, and she's a player who can come with very big shots, has recent success. So like if you're splitting hairs, I think you would give a resume +1 or +2, I guess, in this sense, to Centeno and Shaw. But it just seems like Bergman and Fu are not going to be denied, Mike. And I would love, love, love to see them in a final here in St. Louis. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, it's a great matchup. The one thing I will say about Shaw and Centeno is that they do have max firepower, but both have been known to miss. They could blaze through like 25 shots in a row, and then they just miss something you don't see coming. That's always been, Cheska's, not Achilles' heel, but you're just always kind of waiting for one of those shots to happen. So you get into these short set situations, and a mistake like that can really, turn the tables.
It can, and it can especially turn the tables in St. Louis when you're playing against Justin Bergman and insert a partner. So because who they're going to be rooting for. They're going to be feeling a different kind of pressure out there on TV table one playing against that duo. And make no mistake about it, everyone and their mom is going to be rooting for Team Fu and Team Bergman in that room. And so, and you saw how that can affect even the most elite of doubles pairings in a Rubelin and Carlo, because I do feel like it got in their head a little bit, or at least got in their game a little bit. And to be fair, like, and I saw a couple of their matches because I'm big Team Philippines fan all the time. Every tournament that they're both of them individually and collectively are playing in, they never really seem to be comfortable, Mike. I saw their matchup with Wojciech and Yuki, and they never really hit that Filipino gear like I'm used to seeing from those two, but nevertheless, and I'm not taking anything away from Justin or Fu at all. But I do feel like that matchup last night, even though I would give the experience factor individually to the Bergman and the Shaw and Centeno teammate, that experience last night and that confidence coming from last night and getting that big win from last night is going to really serve them well. And I would have had a lot of question marks when it comes to the spot shot with those two. After yesterday, you can tell they can go 4 for 4 because they did it, number one. And two, I saw just stylistically, I saw a great all around game from them. I saw their safety play was great. I saw their chemistry was good enough to just let them be who they are as individual players. I saw the crowd go and lift their spirits. I saw them go and crack a little bit, but I also saw them rise from those moments as well. So I'm gonna be rooting for Fu and Bergman, although I'm always going to be a Cheska and a Shaw fan when it comes to them playing in a semifinal, because I mean, they're fun to watch. Down below, Mike, Federer and Bean against Seau and Victor. Who you got in that matchup?
Federer and Bean.
Really?
Yeah, I like Seau and Victor, and they, I can't remember who they beat in their last match, but I was surprised that they won.
They beat Victor. I mean, they beat Wojciech and Yuki.
Right.
Yeah.
But Bean and Federer, that's two people they're having a lot of fun out there playing. They're loose and firing around. She's fun to play with. He enjoys. He's just been like, pretty flippant almost about playing in these matches. He's just kind of been having fun. And then I don't know if you saw the jump shot that he made last night in the second set. And
I didn't see it.
Was ridiculous. Call,
yeah.
Blank the table, bank, kick off, bank off the top rail.
That don't even surprise me with that dude no more, man.
Called it off the ball near the side pocket and called the shot into the side pocket. So it was.
He's big time, man. Federer.
It was a pretty sick bank shot. Yeah, I mean, she's a great player. And he's obviously Federer, so I like them in that matchup.
How confidently do you like them in that matchup? Out of curiosity.
What, are we betting dinner again? Jesus.
I gotta ask, Mike. Because I tell you what, all jokes aside, I'm high on Seau and Zielinski, and to be in one individually, two because my stock for Wojciech and Yuki was sky high after seeing them play the Filipinos. They had this kind of similar to a Justin Bergman and Fu, where they obviously they both understand pool at the elite level, but like the lack of language and communication, I think helped them out quite a bit. And not for nothing, but Wojciech is I said this yesterday when we were just sitting down. Wojciech's a great leader, and there wouldn't be too many guys I would pick ahead of him to lead the team. I was real high on that win when it comes to Seau and Zielinski. Victor looked really comfortable. Seau looks like a lady who's been in a couple of world championship finals over the last few years. They looked really good. They had really great chemistry. They were running out when they were supposed to. They were just handling their business, which I thought was great. And I think that matchup, even though going into it, I probably, like, before this tournament, I would have liked Victor and Seau. I really liked Wojciech and Yuki going in. After seeing them play. And so that win, I'm giving a lot of stock to. And obviously, I know who Federer is. I know he's a bad dude. I know he can come with big shots. I know he's got TV table experience. I know he's got I know he's got all these things, Mike. But Bean, I don't know a whole lot about when it comes to any of those things, And so I think when it comes to that type of experience, and even though Victor has came up short in bigger spots and has cracked under big matches, he's at least been there more, at least that I can remember, than Bean. So, like, if I'm going to go and just break that down, I'm kind of giving the edge to as a doubles parent, I'm giving the edge. Now, obviously, from if you're ranking just 4 players top to bottom, I'm ranking Federer number 1, but
it sounds like we got to roll it. Sounds like we got to fire at it.
Are we making that official? Are we gonna put that one?
Days I'm gonna win one. It's gonna hurt. So,
dude, let me tell you, it was the funniest thing. So I was there I let Mike order whatever because I was just down for whatever, and I was, and Mike never disappoints when it comes to ordering dinner. And so, but at the end, I was like, hey, Mike, let me take care of the tip at least. You're already paying for dinner. He's like, no. I said, come on, Mike, let me just, and I had my wallet out. He's like, no. And then in the most like cold-blooded Italian way, he says, no. I'm gonna win one of these bets, and it's gonna hurt. And then he just stares at me. Big guy. He says, it's gonna hurt, big boy. So, if you want to fire a little dinner bet, I would gladly take Seau and Zielinski, Mike.
Okay.
Let's jump on into the men's 8 ball. They're starting here in just a moment. Mike, up top, you got, and we're not going to go through every matchup. Talk to me about these first 4 matches, Mike, and then we'll kind of breeze through.
Justin and Sky. I mean, that's box office. That's two guys who grew up hanging with each other, and I mean that's really going to be a really interesting match.
It's brutal, Mike. I would have loved to have seen that in the final, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man. The other part, I mean, Tyler's got Francisco. That's going to be a tall order. I like Kachi up top, obviously. Babika and Wu Kun Lin. I mean, it's a pretty interesting matchup. I mean, the Bulls have come in huge numbers here. And,
dude, they're so deep, Mike. It's unbelievable.
Ridiculous. So that'll be pretty good. These are all races of 10, so it makes it a little bit more. I'm a little bit more. I lean a little bit heavier now to the favorites in those matches. So
sure, like that cream rises to the top kind of philosophy. You mean?
FSR, Wu, and Sky really. Sky played really well. Obviously.
Look, I give a lot of value and weight to Sky beating Carlo, and I valued that even before what Carlo did to Vitali. Because I have an immense level of respect for Carlo's game in any discipline. I don't give a shit what it is.
How much do you value beating Wong, Filler, and Shevchik?
I mean, listen, you can't show me someone who's had a tougher road. Honest to God.
Forget it.
Show me someone from the beginning, and then you factor in that lineup, like those matches back to back. Oh, by the way, they've all gone hill in one dude's favor, right? Yeah. Every single one of them. Oh, by the way, they've been in your hometown. Oh, by the way, they've been there with a packed crowd there watching as well. All these factors should be against Justin Bergman, and yet he's come away victorious in every single one of them in the most, like you couldn't script that stuff, Mike.
Yeah, no, I feel a lot more comfort about him playing in December in Orlando, doesn't it?
Listen, he's taking somebody's spot. I can guarantee you that. Listen, somebody's ass isn't safe, and I'll let you guys guess who maybe that somebody or somebody's will be. But I think there's no way I'm keeping him off that team. No way on earth I'm keeping him off that team right now. He is the lack of big stage experience is a real deal thing. He's shown that he can fade whatever, he can weather whatever. Because all those matches have been clutch and big time and pressure packed. And that dude is just delivering over and over and over again in the most dramatic fashion, which is what you're going to get at the Mosconi Cup. And I think on top of that, it'll boost everyone else's confidence in the team, in the overall, if he makes that team as well. But on the note of these 4 matches, Mike, look, obviously, I'm going to like Kachi, although Lucados is a dangerous out. I think he's very severely underrated and can win big matches. And I've seen him win a Pro Billiard Series tournament over in Europe a couple years ago. Tyler and Fran was dead to rights to Edward Bregu. And I saw a little bit of that matchup, and Bregu was a great story.
Nothing or 6-1 or.
Yeah. And Bregu is scrappy, and Bregu's had some quality wins in his own right in this tournament. I know he's out already, but he had Fran just on a lifeline there. Fran came back and won with some hard-earned outs and just using experience and knowledge and expertise and powerful shot making, all these things. Obviously Fran's going to go in there as a favorite, but with Tyler's break, call me crazy, but that might be an upset, Mike. I might pick Opie coming out of that matchup, just because of how big of a break. And I haven't seen Tyler play in this tournament, but I know that he's got the potential for a very lethal break, and that by itself, I'm going to value quite a bit. In these 4 matches, though, I would love to see. Look, Sky came with a big win. Flip a coin there. I wouldn't be surprised if Sky comes away with the victory. Obviously, I'd want for the story to be Bergman and for him to continue on. I would love to see a Bergman versus Kachi, maybe a little preview of Mosconi Cups type stuff. You know what I mean? A little later on down the road, but you still got Wu Kun Lin there. You still got Babika, who's a veteran and knows how to play 8 ball. You got a lot of guys you can make a lot of arguments there for, Mike. But I'm gonna be, which I don't think will happen. I'm gonna be rooting for Akachi versus Bergman coming out of these
Fun.
4 matches. Yeah. Down below, Mike, you got Shaw versus. Do you know this dude, Hubert? He ain't got the most intimidating name on earth, but have you ever seen this dude play?
I watched him here a little bit. Yeah, he's a solid player.
He's got to be if he's in this spot. But damn, I don't even know who he is, Mike. To be honest with you,
He's played well here.
look, another unknown Polish guy, Jason. Look, another story I want to root for, Mike. Another guy who I want to see go deep, obviously for a variety of reasons. You know, hasn't had a ton of success individually over the last few years outside of Hanoi Open. But it would be super cool to see him go deep in 8 ball, which is like the roots of who he is as a player. You know, coming from across the pond. But he's in a tough spot, Mike. Obviously, the unknown in the Polish guy, but down below, you know who those bad dudes are because Jonas playing solid. Claudio Cacci, we saw him destroy Shane earlier. Talk to me about these 4 matches, Mike, and who you got here.
Well, Lupatko, yeah, he's kind of been sneaking around on people. So, and you know, this is round of 32. You know, Jason usually doesn't trip up until maybe 16. But you know, this is kind of that time of the tournament where we start looking for the Jason that's been steamrolling people. All of a sudden is out. You know, we've seen that.
That's a good point.
So, you know, Jonas and Claudio, really good matchup of 2 young guys. Be around for a long time.
The future of of Team Europe, I feel like, Mike, right there.
You got your third Polish player in here already in Misko. Haven't seen him play much. Yeah, he opened the pool room in Poland. He's missed some tournaments because he's been running business. He's really
God bless him.
Really,
yeah, he's he's looking healthy.
But I mean, he was always kind of big. He kind of bouncer type of guy. But,
yeah, he leaned up for sure.
Yeah, so that's a tough match that he's got. And then Albin's Albin. I mean, you know, he's won this, so he's the defending champion, right? So
yeah,
against Oy, Oy's always there this time of the tournament, isn't he?
Seriously, dude. Seriously.
You know, for someone, you know, he's in his like early to mid 40s, right? Early 40s.
Always not the guy I want to be facing at any point until it's towards the end, because I feel like in this range, he just does his business. And I know who Albin is. I'm a big Albin Ocean fan. I know he's the defending champion, Mike, but I might go with Oy here in this one because, and Oy, to his credit, has got a big. It's a little chaotic, but he's got a big break in his own right. He can put some firepower on that break, and he just seems to be picking dudes off in these spots of the tournament, Mike. Like, and just quietly, but not so quietly, but at the very least, very consistently, just tracking through final 16s, final 8s of turn, especially over the last year, you know? So, but I think that one could easily be a final. Who do you got coming out of these 4 matches, Mike? The last 2 coming out of these 4.
Jason, Claudio,
and then who comes out of Jason and Claudio?
Oh, and then who comes out of Jason and Claudio?
Yeah.
I'll go Claudio there. That's about the time I expect to.
Just save it for dinner, buddy. Down below,
Hasai and Alvin, and then I'll take Alvin getting to the to 8.
Look, I'm going Sean and Oy, and I would hope. And listen, that's more head than it is heart, because heart's rooting more for Albin than for Oy. I just think Oy is just playing at a different level right now, and I hope Jason can exercise those demons. Obviously, his history would say that doesn't happen in these spots of major tournaments. But I think he's feeling pretty comfortable out there. He seems to be having a good time. His demeanor seems to be very well, and he always like plays well this time of year around Expo, like just consistently. So I know it's a different animal, but still, you know. So down below, Mike, you got Lechner, Federer, Yap, Casper, Mario He, and David, and then Martial and Oliver. Talk to me about these 4 right here, Mike.
Well, I mean, you're kind of gearing up for a Gorst Yap face-off, aren't you?
Rematch.
Yeah.
They played yesterday. Yeah,
they did, and Yap was pretty solid. You know, David and Mario He, I mean, obviously he's played well this year, and but you're kind of always waiting for the other shoe to drop on him too, aren't you? Usually.
Sure.
And Maciel is another Polish player, just in case we needed another one against
Damn,
Oliver.
they're fucking running deep in this tournament too.
Yeah, I like Maciel here to win over Oliver and to win over David. I like him coming out. He's playing so well this year for what I've seen. Maciel, he's that kind of semi-forgotten young player who's, we'd always talk about Jonas and Cledio and
Sure.
Moritz and whatever. Listen, Daniel Maciel,
He's got that kind of promise, Mike.
as good as anybody.
Yeah, agreed. Thoroughly agree.
I like him a lot. Federer, and I'd love to see them play again. I don't know how the second version goes. You'd almost always want to take the guy who lost the first time, second time through.
Well, especially when his name is Federer, by the way, because you don't shy away from betting on Federer any chance you get.
But him not losing twice to the same guy in the tournament. So that's kind of the way I'm feeling. What about you?
Look, obviously, I've been Team Max for years now. My heart's rooting for him, but my head's got to go with Federer in that matchup. Casper, another young European with a lot of promise, but I ain't betting against Yap. If I'm betting on Federer and Yap, I'm picking Aloysius 2.0 once again to come through. And I know it's tough, and it is going to be tough action, even if they do face each other, and even with that confidence of what that win will give him over his belt. But this is the reason why I'm picking Yap, is because last night, 9:00, I'm watching the end of Bergman and Fu versus the Filipinos.
Let me guess. Right? Over on the practice table was who?
Was that bad dude who just steamrolled the World 9-Ball Tour last year, and he is the world #1 player. I don't give a fuck whose flawed ranking you're picking. The baddest dude on the planet, the best player on earth, Aloysius Yap, was over there in the corner. Mind you, this is after him and Silviana had just lost to Bean and Federer, right? This is at least another hour after they lose, right? I look over in the back, and in the very corner table, all by himself, is that dude practicing once again, Mike, all by himself. And there weren't but a few players who were out there doing that. A lot of them you'll see here on the screen right now. But that dude right there has got a different kind of dedication and is in a different class. Same class as Federer, but in a different class compared to other guys. It's hard to bet against Aloysius. He's determined, he's focused, he's disciplined. And if you already got a win like that under your belt, and there's a few guys who I feel like don't have the Federer effect in their head. Aloysius is one of them. There's a few guys who have gotten the better in some matches as of late. Aloysius is one of them. So I'm picking Yap to come out from those top two. Down below, Mike, man, this is about it. Even money, in my opinion, through these four guys, as you can ask for. I can make an argument for Mario. I can make an argument for David. I hate betting against David because David is about as a cool customer as you can go and ask for in every tournament. And you want to talk about guys that go deep and are consistent, like a Naoki Oi as of late. David Alcade's in that same category. He's in that same conversation as well, Mike. Yeah. I don't know who to pick there, if I'm being honest with you. I think it can go either way. I'm expecting like around an 8-5 kind of score line, or 10 maybe 10-7, I guess, since you're going to 10. But I don't know who to pick, Mike. Honest to God, I really don't. I think I love Mario and his break and his big old panda bear belly and the way he plays the game. But David's consistent, dude. And that part is hard to fade. Maciel and Oliver, all the things you said about Daniel are absolutely right, Mike. And I think he's got the potential to be like a superstar just with his game. I really feel that way, Mike. And I feel like he handles nerves really well. But when it comes to big matchups, I haven't seen him kind of take that next step. I mean, I know he won Qatar and won all that big money. I know all that. But when it comes to these types of tournaments, I feel like he just hasn't. I want to see more wins against a Yap, more wins against a Federer, more wins against top guys. Oliver and him, I feel like are on the same level. Oliver, I got a lot of respect for. He's not the most exciting player on earth, but I got a lot of respect for that dude's game. Flip a coin here as well. I'm going with heart here, Mike. For both, I'm picking David and Maciel, and I'm picking Maciel to come through because I just like rooting for that dude, to be honest with you. Yeah. Down below, Mike, you want to talk about a trap match for the Filipino world champion. And I told you this yesterday whenever Gerson was playing Justin. I said, watch out for this dude because this dude can go and spoil the party in Gerson Martinez. Talk to me about that matchup against Carlo, because I think that could easily have been a semifinal or a quarterfinal matchup, Mike.
Yeah, it could be, and you're right. You did peg that one against Justin as being a trap match, but you can only get so many trap matches in a row. Sure. I think Carlos sees him coming, and Carlos, got the wherewithal to withstand what Gerson does to play. So it should be a great match. It's hard not to pick Carlo. I mean, I think you were spot on yesterday, and I kind of agreed with you as I was watching even early on yesterday's match with Justin. It's like Gerson's got, he's going to be a problem in this match. But I think that run ends now.
What about on the bottom side, Mike? Who do you like?
Well, go figure. There's a Polish player there.
Every damn category, there's another fucking Polish guy there, and another dangerous one at that.
Victor is, they're making him play under a different flag, which
he's Team Poland, Mike.
Yeah. But I was glad to see the Polish players had him in their team photo at the beginning of this event.
I was too, to be honest with you. I was too.
So, but then you got John Mora in there, who's having himself a year already. So playing every game. There isn't any game he's played that he hasn't been good at. Whether
you're not wrong.
Whether there's been 9-ball or whatever, 8-ball. Here he is on the winner's side. So I'm going to take John Mora coming out of that bottom thing. Stephen Casper, dangerous guy. There's always a couple guys when you get into the final 32, final 16 who surprises someone. I'm going to pick Mora over Casper.
Look, outside of the Bergman and Sky match, that Carlo and Gerson one's the other one I'm as excited about. And I mean, in that same level of excitement, to be honest, like maybe just a hair below just because of the lack of the different stories. But look, obviously Carlo coming off of the perfect set is super cool. But I just feel like with Gerson, when it comes to this spot of the tournament, now if we were talking semifinals or finals, I'd probably go in a different story. But I feel like in this spot of a tournament,
most dangerous
against big names, Gerson's the giant killer, man. And not only that, but I love rooting for both these guys. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, look, I don't think it's not easy for any of those four in that top spot. Gerson, Carlo, Marco, and Robbie. I got a lot of respect for Marco. Robbie is super consistent as well and playing some sound pool right now in his own right. And that one I feel like is even money as well on the betting standpoint. Obviously, you would like Carlo to come through on that one. But sports is fucking weird, man. And pool is even more weird. I'm picking I can't even get myself to say the words, of picking against Carlo Beato in a world championship. Like my heart, my mouth, my brain just can't let me get out those words. But I'm not gonna do it. I'm picking Carlo to come out. I'm picking Carlo and Marco to come through in that one, and then I'm picking Carlo to come through again. I feel like even though to everything you said, he's got the ability to handle moments and push through any little opportunity. He's going to do the most with. Clearly, that if you give the dude an inch, he can run 5, 6, 7, and in the last match he ran 8. So I'm going to give him big plus 1, 2, and 3 in that category. I'm picking Carlo up top, and then down below, Mike. Look, all the things you said about John are absolutely right, but I'm going with my heart on this one. I'm going with another guy that I just love. I'm going with another guy I love rooting for, and I'm going with Victor. But I do want to give some shout out to Stefan and Simon because both are, especially Kural, because he's another one. Kind of reminds me of the way I thought about Daniel like 2 years ago, where you just see him coming, And I don't think he's there quite yet. I think he's got all the potential to get there. In that same breath, Casper, dangerous player. Flip the coin there. I'm going Kural against Victor, and then I'm picking Victor to come through. I want to see Victor take that next step in his career that I know he can do because he's got the game to do it, dude. He really, really does. Yeah. So Anyhow, women's matches are finishing up. We're gonna try to do more live shows. Uncle Mike's got to run, as do I, because I want to go sweat that 2 p.m. matchup.
Meet you at the elevator in 5.
Hey, so we got that bet right for the doubles for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go talk to Federer about this.
Look, Federer's gonna cost you one dinner last night, and then he's gonna cost you another dinner today. Mark my words, buddy. Okay, so we'll see all you guys and gals maybe a little bit later on today. We'll see. Mike, I appreciate you as always. We're gonna go sweat some matches. You guys do the same. Check out Pro Billiard Series YouTube channel. They're gonna be live here in just a minute. We'll see you.
See you later.